Well, so I got the mount out. Things never really go as planned, of course. So I'll show you guys what I'm having to deal with right now at this point in time. Here's the new one. Here's the old one. Now, as you can see, it's got this mounting bracket that has to go on it. Well, when I was looking online, I didn't see this whole assembly as one piece. All they sell is this part. So I figured the back one was bad, so I might as well replace the front one. And lo and behold, I don't think I've ever seen a mount that was this loose before. I mean, you're not supposed to really be able to move them around that easily. If you just look at the rubber, it's all cracked up and old. This thing definitely needs to be changed. So this leads me to the next part of the problem. These two things. These are basically steel rivets that they put in it. And I'm going to have to grind them off. It's going to be an outright pain in the ass just because of the angle they're at. In fact, I might even have to grind them off here. We'll have to see about that, but it's going to be a pain. So let's get to work. Well, so what you guys are seeing right here is basically the most labor-intensive part. And as you can see right here, I've already got one of them out. Camera doesn't want to focus on it all the way. But thankfully, as you guys can see how much metal I've had to take off here. I've been trying to avoid this as much as possible, but you kind of can't avoid it. So basically what I'm doing now is the fun part. I got the other side to smoke up pretty good. And as you guys can see, didn't get it on camera, but it went through all the way. If I had a acetylene torch on hand, this would be a lot easier. So, onto this side now. A little loose now. That one's through. Hammer time. That piece of shit. Now we've got a new can of beer. Set that on our anvil back there. And I've got hopefully some hardware that may or may not fit. Looks like it fits so far. Now, ideally, what you should use on stuff like this is lock washers. However, I have lock nuts, so hopefully these will be good enough. I'm also going to spray a fairly liberal amount of Loctite on these things before I tighten them down. But I just kind of want to see. I remembered that the pointy side goes down. Looking good so far. I'm not going to do those all the way. So, I think I can be happy with this. That looks good enough for me. I am going to put a bunch of blue Loctite on these bolts. I'd rather put the red stuff on there, but Walmart didn't have any. Now I got my 14mm socket on the end of my air ratchet. And this is the stuff that I used. I would rather have used the red stuff just because it's, you know, rated for more strength, but this stuff should do okay. Grab the other end with the regular wrench. Go that all the way to number 3. And I think that'll do for me. So let's go ahead and install it back in the car. Well, now we're under the car, obviously. To show you guys just where exactly this thing was. It's right here. That's where the bolt came out of. And it mounts right there onto the side of the transmission. It's not the easiest thing to get back in there. In fact, I'm going to have to use the foot trick here to kind of position the motor where exactly I want it. But I think I should be able to get it back in. But I'm actually going to have to put the camera down for this because, well, I kind of need a third arm, third hand. But it's really straightforward. You just kind of got to weasel it back in there. There's really no right way to do this. I mean, there is a right way, but you got to figure it out. I mean, I kind of had to really squirrel it around to get it out, so I don't think it'll go back in as easy as it came out. So it went back in a little easier than I thought it would. Had to move around these transmission cooler lines a little bit with my other hand, kind of squirreled it in there. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is, just so it won't come out down here, I'm just going to thread this on a few threads. Now we're on to the fun part. I've already got 3 of them started, not including that one at the bottom, which I'm going to have to probably drop it just a hair more. But this is the part where you basically got to be some sort of contortionist. Because you got to get a long extension. I do prefer, because it's not really in the easiest spot. So I'm going to drop this down just a little bit more. Not too much more. It ain't going nowhere now. Probably just tighten that up just a little bit more. Not really that big of a deal. It's not really all that pressing right now. But what I'm going to go ahead and do, what I do is, before I even attach it to the air gun, is I attach it right up there and just kind of hold it with my hand right here and then attach it to the air gun. And believe me when I say this, guys, this is the fun part. So everything's all cinched back down. So I'm just going to drop the jack. I have a new transmission pan that I'm going to install on this thing too, because this one just keeps leaking and leaking. I'm not really too worried about it, but we can go ahead and do a test drive right now. See how much this thing still vibrates. Still a little bit of vibrations, but it's not nearly as bad as it was.